This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Alert Unit starts in around 5 minutes.
0TX repeater.
Well, this one is actually something I wrote up last week, and I'm going to invoke privilege and talk about it because I thought it was fascinating. This is listening for the next WOW signal with low-cost SDR. I think what makes this project unique is that it comes from the University of Puerto Rico at Arecibo. Arecibo was synonymous with their radio telescope until it was sadly lost. And these are people who are very into scanning the sky for radio signals, and who better to take on this challenge. The story kind of goes that the university was doing some research on the WOW signal, which was detected back in 77. They kind of realized that, because of how primitive the gear was back then, that you could pick up a similar signal with off-the-shelf SDR software-defined radio that we now have for, in the parts bin. So that kind of started this WOW at Home project that they've been working on, where they want the community to take, your RTL SDR, hook it up to a parabolic dish, of which there are actually a couple on the market now. You don't even have to figure out how to make your own. There's a couple turnkey dishes that you can use. There's a couple of amplifiers and filters and the sort of thing you'd expect, and then hook that up to the Raspberry Pi, which ultimately would be running their software. That is kind of the hole in this thing right now. Everything kind of exists except that the software isn't quite there. But once complete, the idea is that these telescopes, spread hopefully all over the world and the backyards of willing participants, could cover the sky and look for a similar signal to the WOW signal, which should be said that they do not believe is the product of an alien civilization or anything. They think it's some kind of very rare astrophysical event that may happen again if we have enough ears to the sky. Personally, I've been fascinated with the idea of the at-home radio telescope, and it's another one of these things that, has not become... I mean, you could have done it back in the day, but it's so much easier and so cheaper to do now that, it's almost like a weekend project to get this set up. And it's kind of crazy to think that, the technology required to pick up the WOW signal in 77 is now something you could do on a rainy Saturday. You can put this thing together. It's simplified by the fact that they're not even proposing like motorizing the dishes or anything. Their whole concept is just, incidentally, was kind of how the Arecibo telescope worked itself, because it was a crater and not easily pointed. You just look at one point in the sky and let the rotation of the Earth do the work for you, right? So it's a very, as easy, and I use that term lightly, as easy as the homebrew radio telescope has become. This is even like a step easier than that, because you don't even have to worry about pointing the thing accurately. Once you got it in position, it just sits there. So what's missing is the software. They have some software, but definitely the tricky part is, how do you parse this data coming out of the receiver and figure out if it's worth something and acting on it? So that's where they're kind of looking for help. Anyone who has experience with radio signals and software development. Specifically, it sounds like the goal is to do it in Python and again, make it deployable on a Raspberry Pi, right? So those are kind of your constraints. They do want to have a mode, which I think just sounds cool, where it'll do a live preview of the data in like the paper printout style of the original WOW signal that was detected by Ohio State. That famous picture, which is on the article of they circled it. Oh wow, so they would have a live little screen going, and I'd love to have that just ticking away on a screen in my office or something. So if you're into this kind of a project, like I said, they're looking for help from anybody who's interested. And I think, the loss of the Arecibo telescope was huge to astronomy. And this will not replace it by any stretch of the imagination. But I think it is cool to see a community project kind of in that spirit and at least honoring the idea of the Arecibo telescope and bringing that home, literally, right, in a way that the original scope certainly could not.
It's funny that we live in a world where it is
easier and cheaper to operate a radio telescope in your backyard than it is to operate a regular old light telescope.
Yes, yeah, accurate. Very
But
accurate.
all you have to do to make a radio reflector is you get a nice, properly parabolically shaped piece of metal or metal wire, even. Like, it doesn't.
This is K1DBC. All stations, please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 1 minute. Hello, welcome back. This is K1DBC, Kilo 1, Delta Bravo Charlie. Welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for October 1st, 2025. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. I'm this evening's net control. Tonight we'll be taking your check-ins, comments, questions, updates, and more. We meet every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us via Elmer at w0tx.org or net at w0tx.org and most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets, most of them at least, on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that's an additional way to view the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the first letter after the call sign. If you can, please try to use IT phonetics for your call sign and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you check in. You're more than welcome to follow along with who's checked in via w0tx.org/check-in. With that, if your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilo, Lima, Papa Romeo, Lanier, and Inglewood.
Kilowatt Delta Zero, Charlie Golf Fox, Kenny, and Thornton with traffic.
Alpha Fox Zero Echo, Alex Bromfield.
All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment.
0TX repeater.
Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins: K0LPR Lanier, KD0CGF Kenny with traffic, and AF0E Alex. Thank you all so much for checking in. Once more, if your call suffix begins with letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now. Okay, moving down on the alphabet here. We'll actually just open up the whole alphabet. We'll take all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu, please call now.
Kilo 4, Romeo, November, Yankee, Ronnie, and Thornton, no traffic.
Alpha Echo 0, Yankee, Romeo, and yeah, Ron in Lakewood.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I think there was a double at the last moment there, but I think I did pick up both call signs. Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. K4RNY, Ronnie. Good evening. AE0YR, Ed. And KF0, FPI, Ron. I got you all checked in. Not a problem. That is sometimes unavoidable. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check in to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call now.
November 0, Tango, Romeo, Papa, Jim in Lakewood.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. That time I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-in. N0TRP, Jim, got you checked in. Once more, or another call. We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. Okay, nothing heard at the moment. We did have KD0CGF Kenny with traffic. I'll get back to you here in just a second. Again, this is about an hour-long meeting. We go until about 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Again, it's a great place to talk about ham radio and STEM topics. So if you'd like to check in and you haven't done so throughout, I'll take check-ins throughout the net. Again, we're streaming on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. If you're unable to make the repeater, it's a great place to check in as well. More information on our club, w0tx.org. Upcoming roundtable will be posted within the next couple of days here, so be on the lookout for that. With that, KD0CGF Kenny, the net is yours.
Good evening, Daron, and everyone to the net tonight. So I guess this is a little bit of a repeat from last week, talking about the project I've been working on with the Hustler antenna. I don't know if you still have those images or not to bring up on the stream. I'm about halfway through currently burying the radials. I need to finish burying the other ones. It's just a long time, just walking and doing a couple inches at a time. But so far it's been pretty okay. And my apologies, I got to drop for a second. I about forgot the net was going on tonight until I got the notification from the YouTube channel. Yeah, right now I'm getting ready to rebury the radio, bury the rest of the radials into the ground. And what I was using was the DX Engineering radial plate. The SWRs have come down, but there's still some tuning I need to do. Right now, the only thing that's really properly tuned, surprisingly, is 20 meters. But yeah, I still got some tweaking to do on it. Off the project record, something I noticed. So I run a media server here at the house, and I was trying to add the podcast, and I noticed before the net started, you had the Hackaday podcast up. Let me drop. What was interesting about it is I'm trying to figure out where to get the RSS feed, which is just a link to the audio file that automatically pulls, and you can have it like hosted on a website or hosted on a server. And the media server I'm running is called MB, is the program. It's the same thing as Plex. And I try to put that in, the feed from that show into the podcast section of MB, and for some reason it's not grabbing it. And then I tried doing a similar thing to the ham radio news line, but from my understanding, I might be wrong on this, but I think, isn't the news line like going away here in a couple years? KD0 CGF back to net.
All right, sounds good. A lot of stuff there. Really do appreciate the follow-up. This is a K1 DBC net control for KD0 CGF. Kenny, yeah, I did get your pictures, and yeah, it's kind of funny how notifications work sometimes like that. It's great to hear updates on that project. Looking at your radio plate, yeah, as you mentioned, you were going small bits at a time, but that's all right. And yeah, it's kind of odd with the some of the what's working and what's not. What else? Yep, that Hackaday podcast. Yeah, great podcast. I've used, Plex and XBMC back in the day, Cody, things like that. I would imagine, you found that RSS link, and you should hopefully just be able to take that link found on the Hackaday blog page for that most recent podcast. There should just be an RSS feed, it looks like, and you should hopefully just be able to take it, and it should be hopefully it's an XML file. Maybe that is the issue. Maybe it needs to be renamed XML or something like that, but it should just take a very standard file there. So very cool stuff. Yeah, I was trying to think of what else you were saying there, but if you have any other follow-up or anyone else on that, go ahead.
0TX repeater.
So now my memory's coming back a little bit from last week. Take a minute there to get it caught up. So the antenna, the Hustler antenna I'm running is a 4B TV antenna, and it was put up 30 years ago. And my father, who owns the antenna, is K0KKU, he converted it to the 5B TV without the 80-meter portion, which is just the top with the resonator. But he added the 30-meter portion to it. And it stayed like that for many years. And when I got a hold of it, because he switched over primarily to using the tower, when I got it, I went ahead and started the conversion to a 6-band BTV antenna. And let me drop for the repeater. And Daron, I'm reading the comments on YouTube. It looks like one of the stations may have doubled.
You're good. That was from a bit ago, but same person, Ed, AE0YR, was asking about how many radials as well.
Certainly. There are a total of 16 radials, and I currently got 8 of them buried. And I don't think I have too much more room to put any more radials down to give them a good, adequate spacing. That was the one question I never really came across an answer to, is how wide should I make the radials laying on the ground? And yeah, I got that big tree bush in the middle, and it's coming out hopefully next month. Let me drop for a minute here. So the reason why for this update on the antenna and the newer radials is, you see along the back fence I got some 6 by 6 inch logs, and I redid that whole area because it hasn't changed in 30 years. So I turned the dirt and put some rock in and put the wood in. And yeah, I laid the 80 meter radial underneath that wood going all the way down. And that's what started the process. When I looked at the older radials that were in the ground, they were just put in with whatever we had, which was a twisted pair of, I think, AC conduit wire. I'm not exactly sure what wire it is. But, and that worked for a long time until XL Energy one day decided to dig a hole and wound up cutting through one of the wires. And there's some other wires I'm sure just rotted and worn out throughout the years. So that's what this project was to kind of just renew the old and bring it up to modern technology. The next phase that I want to get to with this antenna is I'm thinking about adding a tilt-over base to it to make it easier to tune. I'm still tossing that idea around. This is KD0CGF, and I'll turn it back to the net.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the follow-up, the continued follow-up on that. This is K1 to DBC, KD0CGF. Sorry about that. Kenny, thank you so much for the continued follow-up on that. Yeah, anyone else have questions on that? I do have some pictures shown up on at least our YouTube page. We don't have a good way of disseminating photos, at least in one place, unfortunately. So you can see his setup here and kind of give some visual context to his setup and what he's got going on as well. So yeah, thank you for the follow-up on that. Yeah, anyone else on that? I'll go right ahead.
TRP with a question.
Excellent. This is K1 DBC Net Control. A couple of new check-ins here online, and then we'll get back to you here, TRP. KF8EYE. Caleb, got you checked in. Really do appreciate that. We do a net 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So just 20 minutes ago, we got started. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. N0TRP. Go right ahead.
This N0TRP. Kenny, got a question for you. Just how did you bury the radials through the grass there? Did you, and how deep? Or did you trench them down, or just kind of, a couple inches, or just thread them through the grass, or what? How exactly did you do the radials through the grass?
That took me a little bit to try to figure out how I wanted to go about that. So this is going to sound, pardon the wording, backwooded, but I pretty much took a table saw or a sawzall, like a hacksaw, and that was just a shorter blade. I didn't want to go too long because right where that blue container is, and I'll explain that container in a minute, going straight at an angle is the main power to the house. as well as there's also a Comcast line which is not in use that's buried on top of that. So, which is why I chose a short blade. And I literally just done that, cut it the length of the radials, and then I went through with a trowel. The Home Depot's got this one that looks like a knife, and it's got some measurements on it. And I went through and just widened the hole, and I just laid the radial in it. And they're probably down about, I'd say, 2 inches, give or take a half an inch. Let me drop for a second here. So the blue container, I got that on Amazon. I forget what it's called. It's literally just a housing, and I have a 1-to-1 ballon in there that I picked up from HRO. And it's just in there to protect it. That's all that is just a empty plastic case. I think they use those on like power lines too. This is KD0CGF, back to net.
Excellent. Sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, I'll throw it out to anyone else. Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else on that. Let me see if anybody had anything in the chat here online. Nothing else, yes, so far. But yeah, comments, questions, any other check-ins, or I do appreciate the continued follow-up on that. Yeah, but any other comments or questions on bearing radials, converting antennas, and just general Hustler antenna or just antenna questions, go right ahead.
Question AE0YR.
Yeah, AE0YR. Ed, go ahead.
I'm wondering what that little piece of what looks like fence post sticking out is next to the base of the mast.
This is KD0CGF. So the piece of fence post is unistrut. The piece of unistrut was put in, and this is before I think the tower was built. Tower was built in 2005, 2006, around there. And that's actually a piece of unistrut off the same that they use for a stop sign. And what that was being used for was another antenna that went up 40 feet, which was really an interesting vertical. I don't remember the exact model of that antenna. All I know is it made us quite nervous because even though we had the guy wires on it tied off to the fence, the top of the antenna was so flimsy, it would literally, in the 20-mile-an-hour winds, be halfway over the neighbor's fence. So just for safety precautions, took it down, as well as it didn't perform like we wanted to. And then we went back to the Hustler antenna.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We had a check-in KS0E online. Alex, do appreciate that. There was a pretty cool YouTuber. It really has nothing to do with radio. Matthias Bjornstorm. But he was burying some cable for a robotic lawnmower and used kind of some trimmings for a lawnmower to try to bury that as well. So whatever makes your life easiest for burying cables, that's do what you got to do. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins on that? Go right ahead.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV, Charles in Denver, check in, no comments, no traffic.
All right. Well, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I was also trying to look up in the background about amateur radio newsline and seeing if that was potentially going away. I don't see any news about that. But if anybody has anything on that, go ahead. But if nothing else, I might take check-ins here in just a moment. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. And for Caleb, new check-in, really do appreciate that. I just had another check-in here. Adam, KD5EF, good evening. Really do appreciate you checking in here online. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else at the moment? Comments, questions, check-ins, please go there. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. KF8EYE did put a comment into the question in the chat here. I will, though, just put one more call out. If you're just tuning in, this is the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, right place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. It's about an hour long. We still have another 30 minutes or so. W0tx.org for more information on our club. If you're unable to make our repeaters, or if you're if you want to see behind-the-scenes context, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. With that, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name. And if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. Okay, nothing hurt. We'll take check-ins throughout the net here. Caleb, though, had a question, as mentioned, KF8EYE. Again, welcome to the net here. Let me see. He asked, he wants to put up a VHF, UHF antenna, but can't ground the antenna to the main ground at their house because they can't put an antenna right where that is. So does anyone have any tips on grounding VHF, UHF antenna? Definitely, there's many types of grounding for purposes of safety purposes, for lightning purposes, protection, and for I guess RF betterment for HF bands. But I'll put it out there. Comments, questions on that? VHF, UHF antenna, and grounding. Please go there. Okay. Had a comment there from KD5EF. Really do appreciate that. He mentions he's also kind of in around that same area. He has a VHF, UHF antenna vertical in the attic on a magnetic mount, and it is attached to the blower unit in the attic. It doesn't have it grounded to a grounding rod, though. Yeah, with VHF, UHF, you may be able to get away with not for, I mean, you could do it for safety purposes, obviously, but you should hopefully be able to get out over that without grounding. But anyone else on that, go ahead. All right, so probably an annual going through of grounding. There's different types of grounding. As mentioned, there's electrical safety ground. Purpose is protect against electrical shock by providing a low resistance path for fault currents to reach the earth, rather than through a person. RF ground is to provide the other half of an antenna system or create a low impedance path for RF currents, allowing the antenna to radiate effectively. That's why a lot of HF antennas are forced to use grounding regardless of safety or not. And then lightning ground. Its purpose is to provide direct low impedance path for lightning to flow to Earth's surface. So safety precautions from other devices and from lightning, and then other halves of the antenna. So VHF, UHF, you could probably do it for safety purposes, but hopefully you shouldn't have to complete any other half of that antenna. But anyone else, or Caleb, go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, anyone else on that VHF, UHF antenna? I use a kind of a disc cone antenna. It's not normally thought of as a transmitting antenna, but it's a wideband receive and does transmit over 2 meters, 70 centimeter, and it is not grounded. Works just quite well, either in my area at least. And people have some antenna, attic antennas, and things like that. So. Another comment from Adam, KD5EF, thinks he's used the blower unit. I think I used the blower unit as an RF ground, but not an electrical safety ground. Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Yeah, very cool. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Go right ahead.
0TX repeater.
All right, just doing a little bit of snooping on two of our newest check-ins here on QRZ. Really do appreciate updates on there. Really cool equipment and setups. Really very cool stuff. And yeah, welcome to the fold. And hopefully your communities out there are just as busy as we are. And I'm sure your communities probably deal with some of the same problems as our ham clubs do. Just retention and et cetera. But we have plenty of check-ins here tonight and plenty of things here. So anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? I can bring up a couple of things, but yeah, we have plenty of time here still. Please call there.
This is KD0CGF. I can bring up a couple more things on the Hustler antenna of how it performed.
Yeah, KD0CGF. Kenny, go right ahead.
So I'm going back through the logbook here. Since I've done the 6B TV conversion, let's see here, on the 19th, I hit Spain at 4,800 miles, 4,863 miles, and as well as I managed to hit Argentina. On the 21st, I was working, and all this is POTA right now. I was working, I found a station, not POTA, I'm sorry, FTA. I hit a station in Russia coming in at 4,984 miles. Let me drop for a second here. So the other thing that was interesting that happened, so prior to this antenna, I'm running a ICOM IC746, and I'm running an MFJ duplex interface sound card. Well, what was interesting is after this conversion, my radio was showing that I was only pushing about 20 watts of power. And normally, with the way this radio is configured to work on with the computer, it would show that I would work 100 watts, but for some reason this time it was only showing I was working 20. So I did make a voice contact, and as well as I've also tested the SWR through CW and sideband, and it seems to be, the radio seems to be doing all right, because I was afraid I'd blow out the finals. But I made a contact with K7NNT with a 5.8 reporting out of Arizona. Now, what was interesting and what put a smile on my face is this gentleman lived in Littleton, Colorado, and I thought that was really cool. And he moved to Arizona, but he lived up here. He knew what I was talking about. I just I admit I was a little tickled pink over that one. Let me drop for a second here. I don't have the very last reported measurements for the SWR. 10 meters, if anybody was curious, 10 meters came back with a 1.8 on the low and a 2.4 on the high. 15 came back at a 2.1 on the low and a 1.6 on the high. 20 meters came back on a 3 and 3 above, and this was before, you know, I actually got 20 meters in tuned. And 30 meters was 1.4 on the low and 2.4 on the high. Now, and I started with 10 meters and worked my way to the next band. And the last time I played with it, I forget what 20 meters was in. I think it was like 1.8 on the low and 1.8 on the high. But on the swing portion or on the middle of the band, it was still reading like 1.5. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get that a little lower. This is KD0CGF, back to that.
Excellent. Appreciate the follow-up again on that, getting those readings captured there. So at least getting something down and getting something out. So that's good to hear. So making some pretty good distances, it sounds like. So yeah, I'll have to go back and listen back to the video to get those exact numbers again. But really do appreciate that. Very cool stuff. As Kenny has mentioned, he's trying to convert an antenna from 4 bands into 5 bands essentially, and just trying to make things better, reuse, recycle, and upcycle, things like that. So, we'll see how things go here. So, yeah, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? We still have another 20 or so minutes. Anyone else? Please call now. All right. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? We have another 20 or so minutes still. Comments, questions, check-ins. Otherwise, I can certainly bring some things up. There's been some things in the news here, or plenty of other things we can read off or go through. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
RNY.
K4RNY, great to hear you in there. Go right ahead.
Well, I do a lot of POTA, and I really enjoy getting outside and stuff like that, and I found a logging app that I use called Polo, Papa Ocean Lima Ocean. And the reason why I like it so much is the way Sebastian is the gentleman who makes it, and his call is Kilo India 2. Hang on just a second. I got to look it back up. It's called India 2 Delta. I apologize for the delay. And he's put a lot of little things in there to make it, when you're doing out in the field, from soda, poda, anything you're doing, it makes it really easy for us in a lot of cuts. A few that I like, if you're doing like a park-to-park and you're getting a Canadian call, it knows it's a Canadian call and it automatically puts the CA for the park number, so you don't even have to type it. And if they're doing a couple of parks or a twofer, all you have to do is hit the space bar, just type in just the second number, and it's automatically there. Also, he put in there if you're having a couple, getting a park or somebody's doing a couple of activators, you put in your call sign like K4 RNY, comma, KF4 UFD, and it makes a line for both of them. So if you do a lot of portable or anything like that, take a good look at it. It's a really good app, but he's got a lot of other shortcuts in there as well. K4 RNY.
Excellent. Thanks for the follow-up on that there, RNY. Yeah, Parks on the Air, poda.app for the official site. But as mentioned there, another great product here, Polo, Polo. If you do a Google for Polo space PODA on Google, you'll find it polo.ham2k.com. As mentioned, call sign KI2D Sebastian Delmont. Great looking product there. So yeah, I don't do a whole lot of PODA myself, but short for portable logger, mobile application for amateur radio operators to log their contacts on the go. Designed to be simple, fast, easy way to use with a focus on the most important features for logging contacts. Supports multiple activation types, parks on the air, summits on the air, field day, and plenty of others. A very cool product here. Android and iPhone apps, really cool stuff. Yeah, anyone else on parks on the air, logging or activations or anything else on that? Go ahead. All right.
KD0 CGF. Yeah, that does bring up an interesting question. With all of the software and logging capabilities out there, I still run a written logbook just because it's the technology. Trying to sync everything like N3JFP, I can't think of the logger. Sync that with QRZ and LTOW. What is everyone's preferred choice of storing their logs? Well, like I say, mine's paper, but that's the question I want to present. Is what's the preferred choice everyone stores their logs? KD0 CGF, back to net.
RNY.
All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. We had check-in Dustin, K0BF from Stoneham checking in. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, great question there. I'll throw my 2 cents in here after in a minute here. RNY, go ahead.
I was fortunate enough to get a copy of Ham Radio Deluxe at one at a Ham Fest a couple years ago. I use that as my main log at home. I do back it up to QRZ, and I have it set up to do that automatically. So when I make put an enter into login, Ham Radio Deluxe automatically goes to QRZ. In my POTA logs, I just create a ADA file and just upload it to QRZ, and I put it in my Ham Radio Deluxe log. K4 R and Y.
Great question there. This is K1 DBC Net Control. When I was doing FT8, I think I just made it go to as many platforms as I could. QRZ, or at least Logbook of the World, is the more official one. Is a bit of a pain to set up, but that's definitely more the one recognized. EQSL, and then a few others. But once you log into some of them, you can actually cross-post. You can log in from within those sites, so you should be able to cross-post throughout many different platforms. But and then K0 anyone else on that though? Go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. On the question of logging, whether it be FT8 for sure, you definitely makes it easier to tie into platforms like that. And it makes automatic date and timestamps, things like that. And modes like that are definitely dependent on fairly rigid time and correct time. By hand, apart from nets, I really don't do a whole lot of radio within the nets. You all can see how I log is via an online logger that I've made. But there are plenty of others out there that work better and worse in different situations. I'll throw it out. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins on that, or anything else? Go ahead.
K4 R and Y.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control very quickly here, and then I'll throw it over to RNY. K0BF mentioned he uses a few different, as mentioned, Ham Radio Deluxe is one of them. And yeah, if you have a paid version of that, it makes it a lot easier. Swisslog, another ham radio logging application, it looks like. And then Log4OM, I have heard of that one. I forget what OM means, but I old man, that's right. Log4OM. And then K4RNY. Ronnie, go ahead.
I haven't used it, but it looks interesting. World Radio League, the makers of Ham Radio Prep, has also got one they're trying to build up too. K4 RNY.
Very cool stuff here. World Radio League. I always give them a bit of a short shrift, unfortunately, Ham Radio Prep, because they charge for something that's essentially free. But you know, that is what it is. But let's see, their log booking application might work quite well as well. So if anybody's had any experience with the worldradioleague.com logging software, let us know, or anything else. Go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I guess I've been an old man probably since I've was born. So, I mean, the old adage is you get what you pay for. And you know what? Some things are free, some things work for the basic things, and there's some products that are charged for that, quite frankly, they provide products and tools that are probably worth paying for. So I guess it's to each their own, and whatever product works best for you, and if you can justify the cost and the means. Yeah, subscription-based, unfortunately. It is a subscription-based software, K0BF. So, yeah, sometimes nowadays you don't own anything very, very much anymore. We own less and less, and some of the products, let me drop here for a moment.
0TX repeater.
Not radio related, but I had some smart bulbs that I bought off of Amazon about 4 years ago, Wi-Fi based smart bulbs. And the company essentially within the last few months has gone defunct. Their servers have gone down, and unfortunately it was a cloud-based product and it no longer works. So I'm I now have Wi-Fi light bulbs that I can't control via Wi-Fi because I don't own that product anymore. So I guess food for thought. So yeah, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? 10 minutes or so here still. Please call now.
I got a comment on your light bulbs.
Yeah, go right ahead.
With the advancement of AI, I would say ask the AI for help as well on it. But you might be able to research and see if anybody might have leaked the server files for the application for your light bulbs. Or see if you can figure out the coding for them. What website do they go to, and then set up your server, or set up a server to where it grabs that once it asks for the request and redirect it to an app on your phone with virtually the same inputs. There might be a little coding involved, but that way you can self-host it. That brings me up to my next thing. So N3JFP, I believe, is the logging software. I've been trying to use that as my main log source, but I haven't put enough trust into it yet. One of the projects that I want to do in the future is I want to set up to where my server holds my logs, and as I create a new log, it goes to my server, and then my server uploads it to Logbook of the World or QRZ or wherever it needs to go. But everything's stored there, then I can, when I'm working POTA, I can just remote into my server or have it go to my server, so that way there's one logbook, but it works on multiple computers or multiple systems. That's what I'm trying to do with N3JFP. But it's proving to be a little bit of a task. This is KD0CGF, back to net.
Gotcha. Sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. We use that for field day, though we have to have basically at least, I guess, kind of two copies of it. One is a server, and one acts as a server and a client, but also, I guess maybe you don't need two copies of it. I guess if you're trying to feed it from FT8 or WSJTX, we've not messed around with that, but we definitely use it in kind of a very similar context. One hosts the main MDB or whatever I forget the exact content or the file that's used for logging, and then we take that out and copy that out and upload that for field day at least, and you might be able to just store that on a network storage or something like that. So yeah, I've not really messed around with that though with other software, because at field day I don't know if we actually tie in We must tie in our FT8 station into this. I'll have to take a look. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that, though? We had a couple of comments in the chat here. Let's see, K0BF mentioned N3 FJP is a great logger too. As he spent much time with it, used for field day logging. Let's see, Polo will have a sync feature to sync on other devices in the future. That'll be kind of nice. Yeah, we'll go back to Polo here in a minute. I know K0BF mentioned he had a question on that. Yeah, great questioning on the logging. So very much keep it simple, stupid for a lot of this, because you can definitely over-engineer and reinvent the wheel where you don't need to potentially. So yeah, just keep things streamlined and easy, and yeah, whatever works best for you. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it back over to Kenny, CGF, or anyone else. All right, nothing heard at the moment. Just a few minutes back. It looks like just KB0F was mentioned best logging for POTA, hands down. So another great recommendation for that software, the POLO. So do appreciate that. So we have another 5 or so minutes. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Let us know. Please call now.
K4RNY.
K4RNY, go right ahead.
When you're talking about logs and stuff like this, and this might be the IT in me, but always make sure you got a couple of backups just in case. I got a backup I have on a couple of cloud servers, and I also have QRZ, and I also have a local copy, just in case something happens. You don't want to lose your log. K4RNY.
Fair enough. Yep. Rule of 3 copies. 3-2-1 backup rule. Data protection strategy that requires 3 copies of data on 2 different media types with 1 copy stored offsite. Strategy ensures data is redundant, diverse, isolated, and significantly reducing the risk of total data loss from hard drive failures, cyber threats, or physical disasters. So yeah, if you don't have it, you can't prove anything. So very good. Very, very cool. Yeah. Anyone else? Just a couple more minutes here. Anyone else? Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I guess to name and shame, the light bulbs were Sengled, Sengled. There is a way to recover them through some recovery tools, and then I have to make essentially an MQTT broker. It's kind of a pain. I've tried it. It hasn't worked, but I may need to try it again. It's one of those things. If you go on Amazon and look for something that requires a hub or doesn't require a hub, I now have to make my own hub for these communications. So I do appreciate that. One other thing over on reddit.com/amateur radio. 5 days ago, someone purchased a bucket truck for about $1,300, a new battery for about $50. So 110,000 miles, 30-foot boom, and a little generator. They were owned by a Bell Atlantic telecom company out there. And some guy then had it for car washes and had it sitting around. So yeah, always check around for old construction equipment, whether it be bucket trucks or raisable towers for lighting, things like that. Very easy way to get your antenna up on the air for some major events. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Just a few more minutes. Last minute comments, questions, check-ins. Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. One other shout out, not radio related, but feels like kind of a Parks on the Air kind of a thing, is geocaching. If you've never tried that, it's a whole lot of fun. It's basically hide and seek, or it's basically adult hide and seek that's been going around for about 25 years or so now, and just hidden objects throughout the world. So if you're ever doing Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air, you can get a free account or a paid account, and there's much more options available, but they are all around us. So if anybody has any interest, geocaching.com. Again, app-based, GPS, coordinate-based. You have to find basically little paper logs that you sign with a pen, and that's about it. But it's a whole lot of fun. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Comments, questions, check-ins. This will be the few last calls here. Anyone else? Please call now. Okay, one final call for any final check-ins. Anyone else? Last minute check-ins just for the count, or any very last minute traffic? Please call now. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, those are really cool. I only just got back into it. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. 13 check-ins here this evening. Really do appreciate everyone who's checked in. Plenty of stuff that we talked about. Again, if you missed it, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. You can scrub back and go back through the video and look at and hear what we talked about. And very cool stuff. K0BF mentioning he's also done some geocaching as well, so really cool stuff there. And it's a very just very cool. Quick background on geocaching. Very much late '90s, early 2000s when GPS restrictions were lifted. When we saw car handheld GPS devices, things like that. Same time, a hobby came about where items were hidden and you had to use GPS to find them. And so, this has been going around for 25 plus years, and there's thousands of these around. So, if you have any interest, plenty of cool stuff out there. With that, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, can't thank enough our club for allowing us to use the repeaters, and everyone for checking in. Again, next week we will have again this next Learning Net on the 8th. So join us then. Our regular meeting is on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. And they take place online at 7 p.m. online at w0tx.org. With that, next week, join us 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time for the next Learning Net. 7-3, and I will be clear. Have a good evening. All right, everyone. Thank you again. It's great to see all you, and we'll see you all next time.